Hello, I'm Jonathan Dunsky, author of the Adam Lapid Mysteries. On this channel, I talk about crime fiction and thrillers that I read and enjoyed. And today I'd like to do a bit of a summary of the first half of 2023 and tell you about 5 books that I greatly enjoyed reading this year and that I can recommend. And I think that most readers would find highly enjoyable. So let's begin with the first book, and that is Double Whammy by Carl Hiaasen. Double Whammy takes place in Florida, and it's a sort of a comic or comedic crime novel that centers around competitive bass fishing, which is something that I did not even know existed until I read this book. And the main character is a guy called Skink, who's this sort of weird hermit living in a rural area of Florida, who also has a boat, which sort of ties into the story. And he's a very funny character that I believe appears in several Hiaasen novels, but I've only read this one so far. Double Whammy was simply a lot of fun to read. And it was actually very funny as well. I laughed out loud a number of times during when I was reading the book. Skink is a remarkable character. He has very weird habits like searching for roadkill in order to cook it on his open fire. He sort of lives half in the woods. And the story was excellent all around. As I said, the large amounts of money and prestige in the sort of industry of competitive bass fishing. So that is Double Whammy. It's a crazy story, a lot of fun with the sort of weird main character that you simply can't get enough of. So you can check it out if you're looking for something that will make you laugh. The second book that I can recommend is Hopscotch by Brian Garfield. Hopscotch is was published in the 1970s, and it's a sort of spy thriller, but sort of with a twist, because the main character, Miles Kendig, is a former CIA agent who's been sort of put out to pasture, and he now has simply no reason to live because he doesn't have any excitement in his life. And partly to sort of get that excitement back and partly to get back at his superiors, he decides to write a book, sort of a tell-all book about the agency and about other spy agencies as well, revealing their secrets. And he decides to send a chapter at a time to various book publishers and also to various spy agencies, thereby making the spy agencies chase him, and he has to get away from them, always keeping a step or two ahead of them, and in so doing, both get a bit of excitement in his life and to make them appreciate his abilities again. And it's an excellent novel, quite thrilling. I enjoyed it immensely. That's Hopscotch by Brian Garfield. The third book that I can recommend is the autobiography of Matthew Scudder by Lawrence Block. Matthew Scudder is one of the most widely known and acclaimed fictional detectives, I believe, in the history of mystery fiction. And this year, Lawrence Block, the author, decided to write a fictional autobiography of this main character, supposedly written by Matthew Scudder himself. And the autobiography tells Scudder's life story from his birth all the way until he quits his job as a policeman and becomes a private investigator. And in book 1 of the series, he's already a private investigator, and when we get to meet him. So it's a fascinating novel, a fascinating autobiography, something unlike, I haven't read anything like this book before. And as I said in my review of it, it felt like a sort of gift to fans of Scudder's, and I'm a big fan of him. So this is the only book that I won't recommend reading unless you've already read something else, and that is at least 10 of the Matthew Scudder novels, the first 10, because the autobiography mentions certain characters and incidents that take place in those books. The book number 4 that I can recommend is Dancing Aztecs by Donald E. Westlake, which is the funniest book that I've ever read and something that simply amazed me as a writer when I read it. The story involves the search for a small statue of a dancing Aztec priest that was smuggled into the United States from a fictional South American country. That statue is worth a great deal of money, but it has been smuggled into the United States as part of a shipment of fake statues, and now a great number of people are searching for the only authentic one. And this book has a huge number of characters, a lot of funny incidents, a lot of people chasing after this statue and fighting with each other, and it's an incredible mess, but you never feel like the writer lost control of the plot, and it's an amazing feat of writing and an incredibly funny book as well. So check out Dancing Aztecs. And the 5th book that I can recommend is Miami Blues by Charles Willeford. Miami Blues is book 1 of the Hoke Mosley series, featuring down on his luck, broke police detective Hoke Mosley. And in this book, in Miami Blues, he goes against this criminal psychopath by the name of Freddie Franger, who has recently arrived in Miami after being released from prison in California. And Freddie is basically bent on creating a lot of chaos and mayhem in order to achieve instant gratification for basically whatever he desires. And I read all 4 Hoke Mosley books this year. All of them were excellent, a lot of fun to read. But I'm recommending Miami Blues because it's the first one, and it's the perfect place to start the series and to meet Hoke Mosley. So these are 5 books that I can recommend, that I've read this year and can recommend wholeheartedly. You can find links in the description below to all 5 books. And thank you for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.